$125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
They do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/fitlh. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
Yes, to buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener.
The long-awaited Core Alliance pick.
Core Alliance pick, dear
is happening
listener.
right now.
Holy shit! We got the old school heads.
Pony, hi.
We got Kellen
Well,
Dross.
I knew she'd come through. You see who's on the list there.
Oh yeah, I know. We got Kellen Dross in the house. We got Pony in the house.
Pony, you had me laughing when you were saying, you know, that band. I don't know if you want me to say it publicly. I'll show you. There's a band coming to her. Well, remember them?
Yeah.
They're coming around. She was like, she's gonna take Gia.
It's so funny what you called them. It's
Whoa.
just called Hanson, not called the Hansons, you weirdo.
Now it's been announced, Pony.
Well, was that supposed to be private?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if she wanted everybody to know.
She's the Hanson. I don't care.
Okay.
Okay, all right, dear listener. We have, you're going to laugh. Oh, finally, shout out to the big homie Asteroth. When will the one be uploaded you guys did a year ago? That's been uploaded, man. We've been uploaded that.
What?
We did a thing like a year ago.
What, a
the
live
Cradle
stream?
of Filth joint, yeah. In one of the live streams.
Oh, well, did it get blocked? Is that what's going on?
No.
Or am I missing something here?
Nah. Hey, Richard in the house.
It's been uploaded.
Don't you love it when you go to the library with your mom and while you're looking at books, your mom has picked out a corny-ass Western book for you and says it's time to leave? Yes, Daniel Montgomery, I enjoy it very much. I don't know what you're talking about, brother. Sorry, brother minister. Okay, dear listener. I want you, Soraya, to read the title of the Cradle of Filth track we're reviewing.
Disclosure between man and his soul. Oh.
A discourse between whatever. Between a man and his soul. That's very fascinating.
It is very fascinating.
What a very ironic situation.
I'm feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, that should make you Funeral in Carpathia, yeah.
Cradle of Filth is our first song.
Here we go, guys. Cradle of Filth, a disclosure of a man and his soul.
Yep.
I am sure when we do the review, the lyric review, you will see why this is a terrifying coincidence. Okay. Having said that, dear listener, here we go.
And there's no information for you guys. So all we know is this is from the Core, which is one of our alliances on Patreon. Join up there if you're interested in getting your songs reacted to that way.
Yeah. On a serious note, I always say that this is my favorite part of favorite angle on Patreon. $1, and then you join an alliance, and so you can't get much better than that. All right, here we go. Cradle of Filth.
This thing is so fun to play with.
So let's go. Do you hear anything?
I just thought I heard one boo. But, yeah.
Hey, we're in good shape.
My life, I
Ooh, I am blown away by this song just because of who wrote it. It's very, very fascinating.
Okay.
I mean, this is Danny Filth.
Yeah.
We're gonna storm the gates of heaven, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And this seems to be as close as we're gonna get to Ecclesiastes. You know, where Solomon says, "Listen, I had all the broads, I had all the music,
Yeah.
I had all of this," and he says it's all a chasing it after the wind. It's empty. And how does the song end? It ends with him talking about emptiness swallowing him up. So it's the most honest I've ever seen Danny Filth be about.
What year was this? Let's see.
2021.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, so he's getting older.
Yep.
Probably COVID situation, having to stay at home, which then, you know, especially he was in Europe, so they were locking down pretty quick.
Yeah.
And
look at this album cover.
Yeah.
Just consuming people, you know, and
devil on a throne is consuming all these people.
Yeah.
So it's very fascinating that this is his song, because it's a very, very, very interesting kind of self-reflection.
Yeah.
According to Ian, this is from their new album. Almost 30 years of making music, they're still putting out music of this quality. Yeah, I know it. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Do you think when he says, "I look back on the books of my life I've written so well," that's his journals? Or do you think that it's his songs? Or do you think it's just the chronicles of his life that may or may not be written?
It's probably all three, to be honest with you. It's probably all three of those, because you know, he is a prolific writer.
Yeah.
You know, I've said, and nobody's really, I think Zen, but from Neo, but lyrically, he's just a master of literature.
Oh,
and so,
yeah.
And so the stuff that he writes, even though it's thematic, like the devil and things like that, obviously these are archetypical of ways that he's expressing his inner self. So I think he's looking back on the book of his life, maybe his journals, and his music, and all of it together.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
he says, "Father, I fell. Farther, I fell." I think that was "Father, I fell," and then "Farther, I fell."
Yeah. Well, that's him being a ridiculous lyricist, like he always is.
Yeah. For coveted girls and the sins that follow them, I have loved and laughed enough for half a battalion of foes, but nobody knows of my inner demeanor but thee.
Uh-huh.
Who do you think the thee is? Himself? Or do you think it's a sort of prayer?
Well, this is probably taking a motif of a confessional. So he's talking, you know, that's kind of what I envision, especially because it starts out with Father.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's kind of like a confessional type of situation where he's...
Yeah.
Which in his world, you know, everything is inverted. You know what I'm saying? And so he has to confess that he's not having as much fun with the sex, drugs, and rock and roll and indulgent lifestyle that he's been promoting his entire life with his music.
Yeah.
He's now confessing that it's not satisfying him at all inside. Which would be as awkward of a confession as you can make, being from his world and saying all the things that he said.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his lyrics have been about, you know, explicit graphic sexuality and indulging yourself with whatever you want and all that. So then to come back and say, yeah, actually, I wrote my own prescription and I was following my own prescription for happiness, and at the end of it, I'm completely empty. Is a very awkward. I mean, to Ian's point, these guys have been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah,
they've been making music, and so. Vin and Sori, did you hear that Danny pulled the famous "Jesus is a see you next Tuesday" shirt? He's changed it to "Jesus is a jerk." So this is progress, mashallah.
That's interesting.
This is but you know, it's a very fascinating, you know, look into his heart, because
it's fascinating that he felt the need to say it publicly, rather than just saying, okay, well, because he's, like you said, he's kind of going back on some of the stuff he said previously.
Yeah. But okay, so this is a passage I was thinking of in Ecclesiastes when I was hearing what Danny was saying. This guy's narrating, and it's very fascinating. He said, "I gathered for myself silver and gold and the treasure of kings and provinces," which Danny Filth's millionaireism would be trillionaireism back then, right? Yeah. So he's got the wealth of kings. And look, I got singers, both men and women, and many concubines, the delight of the sons of man. So there's music, there's a lot of women, there's a lot of money, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yeah. So I became great and surpassed all who were before me in Jerusalem, which that's his neighborhood. I mean, I'm sure nobody in his neighborhood is where he grew up has ever been as successful as Danny has. Whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. This is this indulgent lifestyle. Like, I'm going to just indulge in whatever I want. And whatever my eyes desired, I did not keep from them. I kept my heart from no pleasure. For my heart found pleasure in all my toil, and this was my reward for all my toil. Then I considered all that my hands had done, and the toil I had expended in doing it, and behold, all was vanity. Yeah. That is empty. Yeah. Striving after the wind, a futile attempt. And by the way, the name of the record is Existence is Futile. And this guy comes to the same conclusion. A so futile, you know, striving after the wind, that's futility, and nothing to be gained under the sun. Yeah. So I'm listening to these lyrics and I'm like, holy shit, bro. Like, are you reading Ecclesiastes? Because that's your life. Yeah. You know, like, that's Danny Filth's life. And it's a real, I think it's a terrifying thing, especially, you know, we talk about midlife crises and things like that. Yeah. Like, he's 48 years old. Right. So he's looking at his life. He's like, I did all this shit and I feel massively empty. That's a very terrifying moment. Yeah. I mean, I haven't experienced that, obviously. We're not 48 and all the rest of it, but it must be a terrifying moment to be like, yo, everything that I've done up to now, everything I've been celebrated for, when I'm alone and all this shit is gone, he's feeling this incredible emptiness. That must be terrifying to experience. Yeah. And you get like that in a situation like COVID, where people are dying all over the place, nobody knows what's going on, and you're stuck, you can't tour, you can't distract yourself. So now he's got to look that shit in the face. And, and you know, I mean, we saw Danny Filth up close, and he was going after one of the sound guys because the sound wasn't perfect. I mean, the guy's a perfectionist, and it wasn't a very big club. It was I was surprised how small the club was, but
I was too.
But it didn't matter how small the audience was. He wanted it perfect. Yeah. And so, like, to see how much he invests in something that, you know, to us would be, like, preferable, because everybody's like, oh, my God, we're this close to Cradle of Filth. Who cares if the sound is like... But he cared.
Yeah, like, honestly, I didn't even know what the issue was.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's his... But that's what I'm saying. It's like music has been his whole life, and then putting out a good show... has been his whole life. So when he's confessing all this emptiness in his soul, it's unbelievable. You know, it's like, it's pretty crazy.
I think for me, it's crazier that he, like, I assume that people feel this way, especially people that are able to indulge in all the things that they want to. Like, I think when what you don't have, you think, oh, well, that's what would make me happy. If I had this, and that, that's what would make me happy. And then if you're able to get those things, over time you realize that those are not actually what's going to make you happy. But I think if you're in a situation where you never get the things, then you're always in that spot where you're like, if I just had that. So the people that are able to indulge and really just like get the things that they want for long extended periods of time, I assume that they feel this way. I was just surprised
Yeah, that's a very honest thing for Danny.
He said it publicly
to
because,
say. And,
yeah.
And to take the confessional motif is really interesting as well.
Yeah.
And he says, I just don't want to die without thee by my side.
Yeah.
So Pony said that he's recently been married to he's married to this girl and he's blissfully in love with her. Pony says. So I think because the song starts off specifically with for coveted girls and the sins that follow them. So, if you've lived a certain lifestyle for 30 years, you get married, and I'm sure he genuinely loves homegirl. Maybe that sort of pattern of behavior is now he's looking at it because he might lose this girl because of it. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, wow.
Because the first sin that he talks about is girls, and he characterizes what he's doing as sinful.
Yeah.
For coveted girls and the sins that follow them. I have loved and laughed enough for half a battalion of foes, but nobody knows of my inner demeanor but thee. Because all of us would have been like, oh, that's Danny Filth.
Yeah.
He doesn't need any girl. He doesn't need any whatever. So it's very interesting.
So who do you think that thee is? It's so hard to tell because in some instances I'm like, well, maybe he's talking about the father that he says, Father, I fell.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's talking to his ego, who he is, his a main self. Or it can't be that girl. It can't be the girl. So it's going to be one of those two, right?
Why can't it be the girl?
Well, because if she just came in the picture recently, nobody knows of my inner demons but thee. I guess maybe he shared it with her, but it seems a little too long and a little too personal to be shared with someone that he's just recently with. Your inner demons, all your inner demons?
Well,
nobody knows of my inner demons but thee.
Yeah, so who do you think he's addressing that to?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's talking to Father at that point, or if he's talking to himself, I'm the one that only knows, only I know of what my inner demon struggles really are. I can try to communicate that to you.
If you didn't know this was Danny Filth, who would you assume Father would be in this?
Oh, this is so weird. Up until you just asked that question, I assumed when he said Father that he's talking about God the Father. But you think that because it's Danny Filth, he's talking about Satan?
No, what I'm saying is the most obvious assumption that I would have if I didn't know this was Danny Filth would that the Father would be God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's yeah.
And like I said, people who and Danny and what's his name? Nergal from Behemoth. They kind of shoot themselves in the foot because they have to familiarize themselves deeply with Christian literature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In order to invert the Christian symbology.
Right.
And so Nergal does it. A lot of Nergal stuff is the intertestamental literature between the Old and New Testament or the world of Jesus. Danny has done that. But what's fascinating to me is it ends up having, this is funny, a corrosive effect on your standing worldview.
Yeah.
And so now when he's got this sort of inner trauma, he falls back on not necessarily, if you want to say this song isn't a prayer, that's fine. To me, this song counts as a prayer. Yeah. But let's completely Jungianly psychoanalyze this and say that he is referring to the archetype of God to ventilate his emotions or his regrets about XYZ. But it's if you look here, it says, I just don't want to die without thee by my side, sated and beautiful. This is why I said that the thee by my side is his girl. Because sated means that he's satisfied. That's how you sate somebody's thirst. And she's beautiful. So that's why I'm saying, he's saying, this girl satisfies me and I don't want to fuck this up, is what it sounds like to me. He says, I will struggle with keys at the gate. Yeah. Which never is a saint. Never a saint, far from decency's grace, true to my heart, bearing off the chart latitude. So he's saying, look, I've been all over the place, yada, yada, yada. And that's what I'm saying. Like that.
Wow.
That line to me, that little stanza seems to be about his girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And either, I don't know if he's thinking that far into the afterlife. You know how I said, like, everybody has a different version of heaven based on what their hell is. So being alone and having complete emptiness in the sexual relationships seems to be hellish to him. So the heaven would be to have an actual relationship that's significant. Mm-hmm. And he's saying he's gonna fumble up the keys. He's gonna find some way to fuck it up. That this girl, this marriage, this relationship is like heaven, but he's gonna fumble the keys because he was never a saint. He's far from decency's grace. And if he stayed true to his heart, he's gonna go all over the place. And then it goes back to Father, I fell, etc., etc.
Wow. See, man, you might be right. Especially because we're talking about Danny. It just doesn't. I guess when I was hearing it, it just sounded like, because he says, "Father, I fell." It has that sort of, like we said before, confessional sort of sense to it. And then when he talked about everything rings with the sting of depravity, as thou have seen, I have not always danced on the edge of the world. I have oft lost my mind in labyrinths blind and broken my bread with the flies. Like, it feels like the whole time that he's talking to the Father, and he's saying, like, I haven't done everything right, and I recognize that. And then when he says, I just don't want to die without thee by my side, it's this, and I've talked to other people that have, well, this person that I was talking to was more on the younger side, but they have a lot of health issues because they lived so, crazily as far as drugs and stuff like that, that it's made it that they're worried that, well, maybe all of that substance abuse is going to shorten my lifespan, making me more susceptible to death at a younger age. And so obviously, because she's thinking about that more, she's thinking more about, she wants to make sure that her and God are like good when it's time. And so when he says, I just don't want to die without thee by my side, sated and beautiful, I will struggle with the keys at the gate. I just thought it was like a prayer still to the Father. And when he says struggle with keys at the gate, like, there's that whole idea that people, you get to the gate and then St. Peter's there and he either lets you in if, the saints come in. If you're not, you get cast away. Mm-hmm. When he says, I will struggle with the keys at the gate, never a saint, far from decency's grace, true to my heart, bearing off the chart latitudes. Like, he's saying, I thought he was saying, like, I stayed true to my heart all this time, and even this song is me being true to my heart, that this is how I feel at this time. And then he goes back into Father, I fell. But he's saying that his being true to his heart took him off the chart. He went wrong because he followed his heart.
Well, that's the thing.
So I didn't take this as a woman. I took this as the Father. He's still talking the whole time.
I don't think that he's only relegated to one person in the I don't think he's saying to God the Father, oh, my beautiful friend, I will love thee until the end is nigh.
I didn't see.
I'll find thee in my arms on the vast other side. I don't think that
no, I didn't even see that. That definitely sounds like her. Yeah.
I think he's talking about her and the way that his sexual proclivities are fucking up their relationship. And I also think that because he loves her so much, maybe seeing all the pain that he caused her makes him finally say, yeah, this is sinful. Because he uses the term sin, applies it to himself, and he's not celebrating it. Which is the first time I've seen Danny. I don't know, Ian is a resident Danny Filth expert. Ian, have you ever seen a time when Danny uses the term sin, but it's not being celebrated, or, this triumphalistic, giving the finger to God? But that's an interesting line, like, true to my heart, bearing off the chart latitudes. Like, this is one of the messages that we get a lot in the Western world. Follow your heart.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where we don't watch a lot of stuff that says that stuff. But I remember one time I was sitting next to Dorian, that came up, and I stopped it and I said, this is nonsense. I said, don't follow your heart. Your heart is desperately wicked and will deceive you. What the hell are they talking about? Look, these people are telling you to follow the inclinations of your person as the ultimate sort of compass and barometer for what's right in your life. And the vast majority of disasters that have happened to us have not happened because they just randomly happened to us. It's because we followed our heart, or the person doing the horrible thing to you followed their heart, which was they followed their inclinations.
Yeah.
And now you got a guy that's like closer to his 50s and his 20s, and he's telling us, yeah, well, I followed my heart and it sent me all over the place. I mean, there's a lesson to be learned there. That's why I say, like,
so interesting.
Whether or not you hold to a Christian worldview, that's fine. There is a bunch of utility to the standing template.
Yeah.
And so much so that when Danny wants to get introspective, he calls on Christian archetypes. Whether or not he's, obviously from my vantage point, especially now that we're diving into the Jungian stuff, I don't believe any of this is incidental or coincidental. And even if he says this song is metaphorical for X, Y, and Z, I still believe that he has a lot of God consciousness. It's the same thing with Nergal.
Yeah, I would agree.
Danny references sin a couple times. Yeah. I'm not. What I'm saying is, in all the songs that we've reviewed, Ian, when Danny talks about sin, it's always in
like
this
a celebration,
triumphalistic middle finger to God sense. But in this song, when he says sins, it's not triumphalistic, and it's more confessional. So the question I had was, so like in the opening line, he says, "Father, I fell for coveted girls and the sins that followed them," which is not the celebratory, F you God type of, storming the gates of heaven type of thing. It seems to me more of a humble confession that, yes, I've done wrong things. So I took it to be the kind of parody of the Bible. The heart is deceitful above all things. He followed his heart and it led him astray. His heart led him to a dark place. Yeah,
exactly. That's exactly true.
That's exactly. Yeah, but Ian, that passage is not a very popular passage. That's a pretty. Yeah. You got to be kind of next level. But Ian is just quoting that stuff off the top of his head. Yeah. It looks like he was paying attention during the boogies after all. What an amazing song. I also liked the guitar stuff, especially the harmonies in the middle. That was pretty freaking emotional. Do you want to get into the Jung stuff, or is it's going to get...
I'm not really going there right now. I'm still trying to...
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Make sense of...
I posted something about it on Facebook, and people were like, what the hell is that? And
I mean, like, you can talk about it a little bit, and I'll jump in a little bit, too, if you want to. But I wish that this is one of the songs where I wish that the review was flipped, that we talked about it, and then actually did... then listen to it, because now that I've had oh wow, this is where he's going, this is Danny Filth, this is very interesting, it would be a new way to listen, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, next Cradle of Filth song we'll do that, inshallah.
Yeah, I very, very interesting. I appreciated the honesty and the maturity.
Yes. What do you give it?
9.6.
Oh. Damn, 9.6.
The way that he writes, did you see the ending where he said,
yeah,
I see now that beauty held me mesmerized under a spell. Farther I fell, down slick mythic wells where emptiness swallowed me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to give it a 9.7. 9.7, dear listener. 9.7. Shout out to Danny Filth.
You beat me out.
Congratulations, Danny. Keep on the track, buddy. Yeah. Keep on the track soon and very soon.
Yeah.
We're going to see a Jesus is okay shirt.
Yeah.
Then Jesus is generally good shirt. And then there'll be a Christos Anesti shirt. Jesus is risen. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Sorry out.
Go. All right, guys. Another one on the way. Commercial break. We shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village. Facebook.com/fitlh. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. This is one of my favorite aspects of our Patreon thingamajigamajigamies is the ability to get your song reviewed for $1. Let them know how to do it.
You jump on our Patreon, and from there you can send me a message, and I will get you hooked up with the different crews, and you can pick whichever crew of people kind of is interested in the same type of music as you, and then you guys influence our song list. So that's what we're doing right now. Next up on the list, are we doing that?
Yeah, the Big Ho Met Heather Dale
Triumphant Return.
Triumphant Return. Did they? Is there any lyrics down there?
No, but this choice is from the lovely Emily.
Oh, Emily? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Shout out to Emily. Okay, we have the lyrics. We have the song. Heather Dale, Triumphant Return. Let's do it.
How dare you come back here and tell me that all of this is yours? When you're tired of your life and your child and you sailed for new shores.
Oh.
You were always trouble, I knew it before. Now almost a stranger, you're smiling and back at my door. Where in your head lives the strange and self-serving delusion that I'm helpless and pining away in my seclusion. I've raised a good son with a house full of friends, and your dog is the only one happy to see you again. So go tell the story your way to the boys at the tavern. Go invent a triumphant return. Go play the man who put me in my place. I suspect you'll leave out that I laughed in your face. Go invent a triumphant return. Go invent a triumphant return. While you were out stealing, I earned a good name in this town. I tore it all down, I leveled this ground, and I built. And the roots of my home are fully my own. You're wrong if you think that I owe you or feel any guilt.
Here we go.
Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Come on. You know this is seductive. Temptation.
These lines on my face are from caring for what you abandoned. Defending what's mine from the jackals that laugh in the rocks. Those scars are your own from your reckless adventures. They don't give you the right to berate me for changing the locks. So go tell the story your way to the boys at the tavern. Go invent a triumphant return. Go play the man who put me in my place. I suspect you'll leave out that I laughed in your face. Go invent a triumphant return. Go invent a triumphant return. Go tell the story your way to the boys at the tavern. Go invent a triumphant return. Go play the man who put me in my place. I suspect you'll leave out that I laughed in your face. Go invent a triumphant return. Go invent a triumphant return. Go tell the story your way, a triumphant return. Go tell the story your way, a triumphant return. Go tell the story your way.
Well, there you have it, ladies.
Good for you. Good for you.
Uh,
You know why? Because we're watching that fucking horrible show, Handmaid's Tale.
yeah.
So I like this gangsta girl shit. You know what I'm saying? God Almighty.
Fight back. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Like I said on Facebook, I'm watching the show because I'm trying to understand folks, but holy shit, what a frustrating show to watch. All right. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just like I like watching the show because
Yeah. We've always had different reactions to that show.
But the thing is, like, I think that you see the show.
Do you know
and
that this changes color?
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to do.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that you look at the show, and because you're not in that situation, like, and you never, it's not like you would ever be in a situation where you were a woman in a home and you were being dominated and all these different
No,
things. You know what I mean?
that's
Like,
not my problem with the show.
tell me what your problem
My
is.
problem with the show is that there are, and I don't have a problem with the show as in I think it's bad. I have a problem with the show as in it upsets me. But I've got to do my own shadow work to see why it's bothering me so much. But it is there's a group of men that are like for it, and they go along. That's fun. Like,
Oh, I thought you were saying
but
in
then
real life. I
there's
was like,
another
what the
group
fuck?
of men that
Somebody
are,
would agree to that?
There are another group of men that are against it, but they're too. You know, like the boss. He was like, I
Right.
can't do anything. There's nothing I can
I know.
do. There's nothing I can do. It's
Yeah.
like
No.
you can be a man
Well,
and fucking go to work.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yes, but if you see remember when they went through and there was all those people hanging, it's keeping the weaker men silent.
Then die. That shit is just anyway. That's not the point of the song, but that's why I don't like the show. I don't like the cowardice. You know, that's what I don't like. But you got people afraid to tell the truth about how they feel about shit because people are going to be mean to them on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
people are already primed to be absolute fucking cowards.
Yeah.
In the face
Yeah.
of whatever. But anyway, we're not in that world. We're still in this world where girls can say this to the ex-boyfriend or the ex-husband. It looks like they were married, though. How dare you come back here and tell me that all this is yours when you tired of your life and your child
and you sailed for new shores.
and you sailed for new shores. You always trouble. I knew it before. Now almost a stranger. You're smiling and back at my door. One of the things, admins, Pony, please take care of situations. One of the things that that was really good about this song for me is the fact that the guy is not the typical abuser. Yeah. This guy is a gaslighter, a manipulator.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like, if you had a horrible situation, you had to choose between the lesser of two evils.
Yep.
For the girls, I would choose the overtly, egomaniacal, abusive guy. I wouldn't want them to be with a guy like this because it's so hard for women to extricate themselves from a guy like this, especially when they have kids together.
Yeah.
So this type of guy is extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
The smiley guy, but you see right here, he's got that sense of entitlement, but he's saying it with a smile on his face. That is extremely dangerous. Thank you, Ian. That is extremely freaking dangerous right there. That combination of entitlement, but smiling while talking about the entitlement is extremely dangerous, and a lot of people fall for it.
When she says over here, where in your head lives this strange and self-serving delusion that I am helpless and pining away in my seclusion. I've raised a good son with a house full of friends, and your dog's the only one that's happy to see you again. So go tell your story your way to the boys at the tavern. Go invent a triumphant return. Go play the man who put me in my place. I suspect you'll leave out that I laughed in your face. Go invent a triumphant return. And like, you see this in relationships, like, okay, first of all, when I was a teenager, I didn't realize a lot of times what was going on. I was like, wow, this is so crazy that every time I talk to somebody, like, I'm always talking to the one that was the victim in a situation. And I just thought, like, literally it just so happened. And I was like, eventually someday I'm going to run into the person that's causing the problems. But for now, I always keep, and it was always women talking to me. So it kind of painted this picture that, women were just, very abused, very taken advantage of, very whatever. When I didn't realize that, it could be either party in that situation. And there's this verse in the Bible that talks about, like, when you first hear one person's story, that sounds like the truth until the second one comes along and tells you the other side of it. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, wait a minute. And then, you kind of get a more balanced view when you talk to two people. But then there are some situations where it really is basically one-sided, like an abusive situation. If someone is abusing, say a guy is abusing a woman, then there's no two sides to it. That's not, what did you say, what did you do that got that abuse coming to you? Like, the abuse was wrong and it should have been happening. And,
full stop.
Yeah.
That's so important. I cannot tell you how many times that question was asked. What did the girl do to provoke? I don't give a fuck what she did to provoke.
You're good, Ian. I reported them.
I don't care what she did to provoke. You can't put your hands on her. Period.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And if you let yourself be that type of person that can that somebody can do or say something that provokes you to wrath and then you abuse them, it's really a trap, honestly. It's obviously wrong, but it's also a trap because then you're the victim, but you're not the victim. You're actually the abuser. But somehow you get twisted up in this idea that you're actually the victim because of what they said or what they did. Yeah. And that's a really, really bad place to be when you're the actual abuser, but you think that you're the victim. But anyway, so like you'll see like when she's talking about this and like, going to the boys at the tavern and stuff like that, she doesn't, well, in the song, like the person in the song, this is so weird. Okay. So the song itself is her publicly telling what's going on, but the girl in the song is not publicly telling what's going on.
Right. She's talking to the guy.
Right. It's kind of interesting because if you're the girl inside the song, like sometimes it can feel like, what the hell? Like here, this person is spreading all these stories and lies and rumors and they're getting all these people to, feel bad for them and to jump on their bandwagon. And how come these people can't see like how wrong this is? And my father used to say like, oh, it'll all come out in the wash. It'll all come out in the wash. And what he meant by that is over time, who you are it becomes visible to people. And I know that that's not always the case. I think that, there are times where people never really know how slimy one person was and how horribly treated one other person was. But, and I think that in that case, just like in the song, like, she becomes her own, like, she speaks up for herself to say, look, she changes the locks, she goes on with her life, and she recognizes that the lines on her face was because she took up what he should have been doing in their relationship in caring for the kids and doing, basically, it sounds like she was being mom and dad, which is tragic for the kids, but at some point it, sometimes it has to happen. So yeah, like I like this song. I wondered a little when she said, "You're wrong if you think that I owe you or feel any guilt." That part I was kind of like, I don't know what she really thinks or what she feels, because the fact that she says it makes me wonder if she does maybe feel a little bad, especially when he's coming to the door, like you said, in this not so aggressive posture. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
I just interpreted that as, to your point, she's talking to the guy, but as the author, she knows other people are going to hear. And I think, yeah, she's probably expressing something personal, but I also think she's trying to give a manual to girls to how to not get manipulated by this kind of abusive person. And so guilt is a major, major manipulative factor that these guys use. Money is a big factor. You see this a lot. The breakup happens, and the guy says, "Oh, this is mine," and it's right here. That's kind of the subtext to all of that is that, hey, you owe me this because this is mine. I bought this, blah, 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 blah. And guilt is another factor that these folks use. Yeah. And especially if you are in a religious context, guilt gets even more marshaled against particularly the woman. Although it did factor into why I remained as married. I mean, yeah, I would say that as well. Is that from a religious perspective, I felt that I would be, quitting on an assignment God gave me if I initiated a divorce.
Yeah, you have said that a lot. Yeah.
Which, to this day, I still hold myself to, but I'm a man, and I believe, especially from a Christian vantage point, there are different roles and responsibilities. So there's things that I would tell my sons to carry that I would not tell my daughters to carry.
Exactly, yeah.
But the guilt in evangelicalism is almost never directed toward the guy, it's directed toward the woman, because marriage is held, the institution of marriage is held above the people. Yeah. And granted, it's a very, very tough line to, because I'm not a fan of no-fault divorce. I'm not even a fan of for-cause divorce after the first time it happens. Like, I do think, especially if children are involved, you try your damnedest. But there's also a point when the guy is determined he is not going to change. He's going to continue to use abusive behavior or whatever. And on top of that, this particular guy left. So, guilt is used as a function a lot of times for women, and to keep them in check and to keep them. What's up, Jandy? To keep them in abusive situations, because the church and a lot of these pastors, they have back office conversations, just like the guys just like any subculture, and guys are measuring themselves against each other. And so if your church has a rash of divorces or anything like that, that's a demerit against you as a pastor. So a lot of these guys will pressure the woman just so that they can have, the bragging rights of saying it's unbelievable.
This was one thing that I didn't know about that I thought was pretty crazy. It wasn't until the 1970s that women were allowed to get credit cards. Prior to that, a woman couldn't. And so you were forced to stay in a lot of situations that were bad because of the money.
Oh, yeah, that's what happened with you.
Oh, yeah.
The guy you guys weren't even divorced. And he just stopped paying stuff.
Yeah.
The lights, whatever, No,
we were. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
It was
a really stressful environment, you know, and I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking, like, you know, I'm glad that what we're doing, all the different things that we're doing, is setting it up so our girls are never in that situation.
Yep.
Because, like, you know, I was in that situation where I didn't have any money, and bills couldn't get paid, blah, blah, blah. And it was like, okay, so now that everything is falling apart, I'd have to go out and try to find a job that would make it so that way I could still see my daughter on the days that I had her. And I was like mentally falling apart because it was such a very, like, it was a really painful time because
very, very hard transition.
You find out all this stuff that you maybe suspected, maybe thought, but you didn't know definitively. And there's something different about, like, having a suspicion and actually knowing.
Agreed.
And then you have to face what you actually know now, and it's really, really painful. And then just the process of going through a divorce, when, you know, being a part of a religious background and feeling like I would never under any circumstances get divorced, blah, blah, blah. It was just really, really painful. And, you know, like, you and I, we were working together to kind of work together. And then, you know, we decided, well, you know, hey, like, let's get married. And I think to myself, I wonder if it would have, like, if I would have had a bunch of money, then I probably would have gotten an apartment close to your apartment. And then we would have, you know, I would have seen a counselor. I know that. Mm-hmm. And I would have worked through some of my problems. But instead, I was, you know, in my parents' house, and my dad kept saying, when are you moving out? When are you moving out? There was a lot of pressure on that. And so it was like, you know, I contemplated moving in with you, you know, without getting married first. But then it just seemed like that was just going to add more stressors because I did care what other people thought and said about it and whatever. But it was terrible. And I think that it's really horrible when people are in situations like that, where I think that it would have saved some of the stress for the kids and probably for you as well. Like, if I would have probably because I was doing all my transitions when everybody else was doing their transitions.
Right.
And so it was like, it was a lot of transitions for everybody. And it was really difficult. I mean, we all made it through it, and, you know, we're all close, but not everybody is in a situation where it's going to be like that. Like, this girl, obviously, she's at that house. I think to myself, you know,
this is just, it's so funny because this woman reminds me of Emily.
She really?
I just get the Emily vibe. I just get the Emily vibe.
Funny.
Like, don't, you know, like, it's just, it's one of those things where a lot of the young girls are probably, I'm talking about like 20s, are not going to get it. But after a couple of these go arounds, they catch this person and they go, okay, I understand now. I understand. You know,
what do you mean?
Because it's instructive. It's a precautionary tale.
Yeah.
Like, even though she's talking to the guy, if you really look at the lyrics and all that, like, it's very, very instructive.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, she said, the other thing that she said, too, was, while you were out stealing, I earned a good name in this town. I tore it all down. I leveled this ground and I built, and the roots of my home are fully my own.
Yeah.
I liked that. I thought that it was good. It was empowering, but I also thought it was a little bit scary because, you know, there are some people that get like a scarlet letter, and you can't, because the town has a view of you. You can't, like, build. That you're just treated a certain way, you're looked at a certain way, you know, depending on where you are and depending on which circles you roll in.
It depends on what you mean, like build practically as in get a job and support yourself, or
no, just like build your reputation. Because didn't she talk about her? Yeah, I earned a good name in this town. Mm-hmm. Like, there's some people that, you know, that woman that I was talking about before, where when she got divorced, people would cross the street and wouldn't even walk by her daughter, who was like 9.
Who was this?
I'll tell you offline.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If you're in certain circles, certain religious circles, certain whatever types of places, like, but like that was kind of like one thing that I thought was crazy, because I was just surrounded by the same group of people, and I felt like all those people, nobody was going to see it any differently. Like, they saw me a certain way, and that was it. And then Vinny and I took a trip. It was actually the NAMM trip that we took to California, and it was like there's a whole world out there. So if you're in a place where you can't seem like that, you can't really rebuild there because people are the way that they are. Maybe it's a small town or whatever. Like there are other options. There are other people groups, and there are other. Not everybody looks at everything the same way. Like what one person might look at it and be like, that's horrible and you'll never get out of that. Then other people are not like that, like, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, what a song. Take notes, girls.
It was kind of like this is from 2018. It had a sort of basic kind of barefoot country sound to it to me, like, but it also had like that sort of raw, strength to it that I liked. So
yeah, it's deep. Very, very, very deep song.
And I love the album cover.
It's a straight 9 for me.
Whoa, a 9?
What'd you give it?
I'm giving it an 8.3. I love the album cover though. I'm a big huge fan of bubbles, especially when they come out of like the Dawn dish soap, because they're so tiny and so perfect and cute.
All right, well, there you are, dear listener. Girls, take notes. We shall return. Then out.
Sorry, out.
Down. We shall return. You guys know the deal. Commercial break. We shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at itsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village. Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Buy our merch indeed.
Buy our merch indeed. Shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes,
okay.
Dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear
I'm
listener.
very excited about this next pick. So the Core Alliance has come to us with a Pain of Salvation song. This song is called Wait. I've been listening to Pain of Salvation as of late. In my own time.
Oh, you have.
Silent Gold. I really like that one. It's yeah, anyway, I'm not going into the details of that one. That's not the song we're reviewing. We already reviewed that one. This pick is from the esteemed Alan. So we are going to do Pain of Salvation.
Alan? Which Alan?
Alan. Well, I don't know. It just says Alan. So
it
doesn't say which Alan. Which Alice?
A-L-I-N,
which
by
Alice?
the way.
Are you the Alice? Yep. Alan with an I-N.
Okay,
And
here we go.
let's go.
Pain of Salvation. The name of
Wait.
the song is Wait. I
That was,
loved that song. Who
strange.
selected this song?
Alan with an I.
Alan with an I. Son of a bitch. Good for you, Alan.
That was an interesting
I
sounding
loved
song.
that song. I could have used this song fucking 7-8 years ago. Alan. Golly.
Well, how could he have gotten it to you? You didn't have a channel then.
Yeah, and he didn't know me. Yeah, technicalities. People always get bogged down in technicalities. Alan, you failed
Either
me.
way, it's your fault, Alan.
You failed me. This song, I would have had this shit on repeat.
Really?
Oh, this is my previous situation.
Yikes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's literally what I would tell myself. Wait another day. I mean, I had it down to minutes at one point. I had it down to, all right, Vinny, just get through this next 10 minutes with this broad. Shout out to Homegirl. God almighty.
Yikes.
When me and you have conflicts, blah blah blah. It's not even close. It's not even close to the situation. Holy. I look back at that time. I cannot tell you how thankful I am to not be in that situation. That's why, we're in the group chat and all that. I barely look at it.
Sometimes I'm like,
I can't.
you need to read that.
Like honestly, like my heart starts beating and shit when I see shit coming from her. So
yeah.
I like purposely ignore it. Like, nope. But anyway, go ahead.
It actually worked because it works in a sense because like my level of like anger and frustration with the person was growing so much that then I was unable to like really help you with the situation. I was basically like, I married you, not her. I'm not dealing with that, broad. But then, like I realized that's not a good way to support you or the kids. So I had to re-engage, and I think it's going pretty well right now.
I'm very glad you did. I'm very glad you did.
So this, well.
By the way, if you're watching, I don't hate you. I'm just saying it's very, very stressful when that shit pops up. Is all. I'm not saying I hate you. Don't do anything crazy. Go ahead.
No, you didn't miss Nightwish. That's upcoming. Okay, so I left you in the rain again. You're still hoping for me to change again. For how long can you wait? Oh, I see. Okay. So this is kind of interesting because that's how you viewed it. I was looking at it as a little bit of the Yoon stuff.
Oh, okay. This should be interesting. Go ahead.
Because okay, so like basically,
it's so funny how you can track all the shit that we're into by a review because it always comes up. If it's UFOs,
I know. Yeah.
Now we're into Jung, so it's like, wow.
Well, this song must be about that.
Active imagination. Although, I recommend active imagination to everyone.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So basically, it's this idea that, well, there's two different pools of thought. One is that you have like, like for instance, when you're in a car and you're driving and then all of a sudden you get to your destination and you're like, yo, I don't even remember driving here. But you hit your blinkers, you stopped on the stop signs, you didn't kill anybody along the way, and everything went well. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It went well, but you like weren't there for the drive. Because you were thinking about something else. And then it's like, okay, so then what was going on? Like, is there another part of you that another consciousness that did the driving while you contemplated something else? Also, like, goes into like dream theories and stuff like that. It's very interesting stuff. But anyway, so in that, there's one is that there are basically like, it's kind of weird because it kind of sounds like multiple personalities, like that you are split off into multiple different versions of yourself. Well, there's two different ways of looking at it.
I think multiple personality is that you have multiple superegos. That's the difference.
Whoa, that makes more sense. That makes a hell of a lot more sense. Okay, all right. Well,
or the sub-egos are so powerful,
right?
That
yes,
it's indistinguishable between that and the superego.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think I would agree with that. That's so interesting because I was wondering about that. But anyway, so it's this idea that there's like the main person of you, which you could call it your ego, and then there are other smaller consciousnesses. But like one pool of thought is that all those consciousnesses are yourself.
They're just extensions of you.
They're just extensions of you. And then the other one is that it's actually like consciousnesses that you're responsible for.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a term I use. But yeah, they have their own ontologies, that they actually exist independently of your mind.
Yeah.
Which is what Jung believed, that when he would go into his consciousnesses, that the other consciousnesses were their own thing.
Yeah.
And that they could communicate things to him that he did not know. Not that he knew it and buried it,
but he didn't.
These specific consciousnesses had access to information that he did not, and that by going into that world, you could access those beings and get that information. I mean, he essentially, I don't know if this is legendary or not. I'm going to have to look at it, but I've heard it repeated a million times. He essentially predicted World War I. He had a vision, and then like 5 years later, World War I popped off. Yeah. So really, really crazy stuff. But go ahead.
So if you kind of take that thought, then you can kind of see it in there. Like, so if your main ego, your main consciousness doesn't recognize there's maybe a part of you that needs some extra attention, or that other consciousness, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And you kind of threw it to the side and you're not really paying attention to it. And it keeps kind of coming up in your subconscious, and it comes up in different ways. Like sometimes it can be like, maybe you had a really weird reaction to like something, like some event happens and you overreacted and you're like, why did I do that? And like, you can't figure it out. Like some of that can be explained through those other subconscious like beings. But I have left you in the rain again. You're still hoping for me to change again. For how long can you wait? Like you could kind of see that in there where it's like neglected consciousnesses or neglected parts of yourself. Some people will call it the inner child, or things like that. So I can definitely see how this would be like a relationship song, or even like.
I mean,
for me to become
I'm not. Yeah, for me
that
to
part
become
was that's where it made the conscious, like that's where I was like, oh
yeah,
whoa.
Yeah, that was because in Jung's idea, Jung is going for integration. So like all these various aspects of your being, your consciousness that you're responsible for, like to get them all to work together. And that takes a lot of engagement, negotiation, all that type of thing. So when he says, for me to become I agree. Like, it had that Jungian feel to it, which was pretty
I was like, whoa.
Weird, considering the Cradle of Filth
I know,
song.
that's what I was thinking.
And then this song. Did you do the little introductory prayer thingamajiggy or no? When you started your thingamajiggy?
The one you sent me?
Yeah.
No, I did that this morning, and I already got in a space from that this morning.
Just from reading that thing?
Yeah.
That already put you in a space?
Yeah. So it was kind of pretty easy to...
Yeah. Well, that guy's a badass, whoever that guy is.
Yeah, I know.
That shit.
It was you, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I do, yeah.
I don't want to get too esoteric on here. But I mean, it was repetitive, but I just love that chorus. The chorus, there's different ways to build. You could do rising action, you play the note singular, then you play it in a chord form, and then, the drums open up, and you can do rising action that way. One of the things that was fascinating to me was, the progression of time in the song, even though the tempo was the same, everything was the same.
Yeah.
I still got that feeling of anticipation I feel when you're doing regular rising action. But just by the lyrics, because he was talking about days, weeks, years, that type of thing. Mm-hmm. So it felt like there was a build-up, even though there wasn't a build-up sonically, but thematically there was, because he was talking about days, weeks, months, years type of thing. Which this song is pretty hopeless, because it appears that this guy doesn't think that he's got the ability to become the ultimate version of himself that he wants to be.
Yeah.
Which I think at some level, it doesn't matter what your worldview is. I think everybody would say, in this life, I'm probably never going to attain to being exactly the kind of person I want to be. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I feel like there's certain benchmarks or goals that we can hit in this life and can create noticeable change, like the alcoholic or the addict or the whatever.
Yeah.
And it's that level to me where it looks like even that he's saying he's not going to be able to attain. You know, so
yeah,
that was kind of weird. Go ahead.
Well, I don't think weird. Why'd you use the word weird?
I don't know, but go ahead. What were you gonna say? I don't want you to forget.
Well, it doesn't matter. Now I'm thinking about that. Why was that weird?
Why is what weird?
You said that because it seemed like he couldn't even attain to that on that level, and that's weird. Yeah,
that's strange to me. Because I would never make a song about that. Like I would like redouble my efforts and try to reverse engineer why.
Yeah, you would.
You know what I'm saying? Like I would never make a song like that. I would never memorialize that kind of failure.
So funny. You're right. You wouldn't. No, you wouldn't.
But that's not because I have a problem talking about failure. It's just because to me it's a form of giving up.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, I'm not going to be able to sing that song with the same feeling if I overcome this shit. So now I'm always like locked in this situation where I'd have to fail in order to make this song valid.
That's so funny.
So that's what's weird to me.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, I'm glad you used the word weird because...
Tony, I kept telling you to text me. Text me, woman! Go ahead.
Because it took me by surprise that you said weird. Yeah, I mean... Like, sometimes, well, if you want to talk about the, like the multiple consciousnesses thing or whatever, like, sometimes there can be, like, a version of you that just feels this weird. You know what I mean? Like, this discouraged, this whatever. And, like, sometimes I journal and I won't even read it after. Like, sometimes I write something and I'm like, that's inspiring as fuck. I'm going to read that again. But there's, like, whole bunches of journal entries that I write and I will not look back at because it was so draining to even write it, and it was so discouraging to even write how discouraged I really am about a certain topic. So I think, wow, to make a song, because you talked about the rising action of the song, but I was having a hard time to feel the rising action of the song because the song lyrics themselves were so discouraging to me that, like, just waiting and it's not happening, and like it just made me, I don't know. And then I kept thinking, this person should listen to that YouTuber. Who's that YouTuber we've been listening to? What's his name?
Which one?
That one that we listen to at night.
The black guy?
No, the guy that wears the hats a lot of times, so I thought he was bald, but turns out he's not.
Terrence McKenna?
No, he's a young kid. Well, I don't know, he's not a young kid, he's probably like our age, but
what does he talk about?
He's the one that talked. He did his little presentation publicly.
Oh, the Jung thing.
Yeah.
The Jung guy. Oh, yeah. What about him?
Well, I thought when listening to this song, this
guy
author should listen to that chat. Yeah.
I think everybody should do the.
What's the name of that YouTuber? Or do you not want to say?
No, I don't know what the guy's name is. The only way I found him because I just go back in our history on the TV.
Oh.
Yeah,
well.
No, I mean,
if you want to know,
all you have to do is type Jung active imagination. There'll be a white guy with a British accent and a green hat. That's him.
There you go, like a winter hat.
Okay. So, what do you rate the song? It's a 9.8 for me. I really love this song. I really love this song.
Okay.
This song's actually going in my playlist.
It got a little bit tricky because I love Pain of Salvation, and so I didn't.
Did you see this album art for our album? That's the album art.
Let me see that again. Oh wow!
It's a very detailed.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Give the people your score.
I'm gonna give that.
It's not Tim Pool, guys. It's not Tim Pool.
Tim Pool.
People keep bringing up.
Oh Tim Pool. Because he does wear a hat all the time.
He does wear a hat all the time.
But I believe that's because he doesn't have hair under there. I don't know.
I think that's a myth. I don't know. I'm not sure.
But anyway, so it was Pain of Salvation. So I expected to like it, like I like Silent, the Silent Gold. But I didn't like this one quite as much. So I guess I'll give this one an 8.7.
What?
What?
Well, you've never been in that situation, so
you never been in what situation? Oh, in a relationship like that?
The situation, like he said, I'm gonna add this shit to my playlist right now, bitches. Boom.
No, I haven't, but I felt like I've been that person that's not making the necessary changes. So maybe that's why I didn't like it as much, because I was like, ooh, this is tiring.
Probably why. All right, well, there you are.
On that note, I give it a 2.4.
Into the fire. Vin out.
Sorry, out.
Gone forever.
Ah!
All right, guys. Nightwish is next. Stand by. 132.28.
Oh shoot! I haven't been doing that at all.
Count back up. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed, and y'all shall lead them.
To buy our merch. Amy, I see you trying to start fights in that comment section.
Jihad.
All right, you guys, Nightwish is up next.
She told me she was going to get mad at me if I said I didn't like...
The song from yesterday?
No, like if we're all at practice, I'm like, no, I don't like that. Redo that. She said she's gonna get mad. I think
mad or sad?
Mad. I think
mad.
both you guys are gonna kill me by the time this song is over. All right, here we go.
All right,
Jesse just confessed that his wife is a murderer. My wife just killed a mosquito, and she's my hero now.
He's happy about it.
That means it's a female mosquito, because female mosquitoes do that. They're the worst. All right, here we go. Nightwish is the name of this band. The name of the song is
The Last Ride of the Day, and the leader of the core is Jay. And Jay said, "You can guess who this one's from." It's got to be Pony.
I think this was Pony.
Maybe not.
My first conversation ever with Pony was it was about Nightwish. And then she said, "You really need to listen to the song The Poet and the Pendulum." So I'm like, okay. So we listened to Poet and the Pendulum, but apparently it was the wrong singer. So I'm like, yeah, she's really going to love this because she asked for it. And then 2 minutes later, we did it live. She's like, that's the wrong one. Welcome. All right.
Welcome.
After that, I'm like, you know what? We should stay in contact. All right, here we go.
All right, let's go.
Nightwish, Last Ride of the Night. Let's do it.
Fucking open air! Let us thank you! With you, we've immortalized this special evening, and I think that DVD is gonna kick ass! With an audience like you guys, what more can we wish for? Thank you so much.
Yeah, baby, I agree.
But even to the most magical nights like these, to the most wonderful stories, even to fairy tales, everything comes to an end. But if you've had a beautiful story, let's just add one more good memory to this evening and make a final ride together. How is that? Let's get ready for the last ride! The last ride of the
Okay, Flora, talk to him. What'd she say? We're gonna ride hard?
I heard her say the last ride of the day.
Yeah, but what did she say right before that? Woo! Holy shit! Go ahead, Floor! Go ahead, Floor! Look at that shit! Go ahead, Floor!
We live in every moment but this one. Why don't we recognize the faces loving us? So what's God if not the spark that started life's wonder? A stranger, sweet music, starry skies, magic, mystery, wherever light goes early, wake ups in the broken homes and time, fresh moon, glass in the morning sun, open, leap up, beats waiting for.
Dude can sing. That guy can sing. All right, Brother Minister, let's see it. I love that shit. Go, Floor! Hey, hey, hey! Yes, man! Woo! Gang, gang, gang! Talk to him, Brother Minister!
This is my 5th try. Yep, that's what I wanted them to do. Yep. A wheel?
Oh, man.
Wow, that looks like it was a really great shot.
So deep, so deep. Such a good video.
Yeah.
I Floor to me, like, honestly, the only person I believe that would be able to combine the singing talent with the stage presence and all that would be you. No, I'm dead ass serious. If you took music really seriously like that, you'd be the only person in my mind that could honestly command a stage like that, and then, you know, that would be crazy. If like you could like let yourself go to rock like that would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
But she, because you don't, I'll have to just settle for Floor, damn it. But wow,
okay. You know what I like about her?
By far, she is by far the greatest female in mainstream metal history. I'll say it that way.
I feel like that she encapsulates part of what a woman is. Like, as far as, like, in metal, like, obviously, you don't see the aspect of womanhood that is, you know, like, childbirth and all that stuff in there, but you see, like, this strong, feminine, but she's not, like, she doesn't look like a pushover. Like, she rocks out hard, but then when she comes out, and the way that she was holding her hand was still, like, very feminine, the way she walked out.
Oh, yeah,
and so
100%.
like she's commanding, but she's also
yeah, she's not a masculine leader.
No,
she is a leader. Like,
yes, she comes out like with feminine fury.
Yeah,
and it's really, really cool to see. And
that
watching
is a
her,
good point. Like because so many, I've pointed this out. Like, so many women, like, when they're trying to be powerful, start emulating men.
Yeah, it's like, no,
it's like,
doesn't work that
you don't
way.
need to do that.
No,
like,
we have our own fury, we have our own strength.
Yeah,
and it looks different than theirs, and it's artistic in its own way. So if you know, just like I also think the same thing of like masculine femininity. Like, there's aspects of, like, obviously you're very masculine, But then there are aspects of your person, like for instance, when, you know, like Ryan is, he's 3. He's screaming his head off downstairs because he wanted to see me before we started the stream.
Yep.
And then like he comes in and you're like, well, what's going on with you? You know, like, and that usually is, it's usually looked at as like the woman is the one that's more like, okay, talk to me about how you're feeling and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But like, there's still like that masculine side that comes out in that conversation. Like, you don't look like a pushover, but there's a gentleness there that comes with the masculine energy, and it's cool to see. It's different than the feminine softness.
Yeah, I forgot what Yoon called it. He says it's anima versus anima or something like that, which is males who within them have the female essence, and then women within them have male essence, and you can get dominated by one or the other or whatever.
Yeah. So just a very balanced, like watching her up there. I feel like it just comes out very well in her stage presence, and the theatrical nature of what they do, like the way that she was. I don't
think there's anybody close to Floor.
I don't think so. I've never seen anything I've seen
female performers, very strong female performers live, and they did a great job. But she's
in her own class.
She's in her own class.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody like. She's just unbelievable woman, unbelievable. And she, it's one of those things where. I'm going to use a sports analogy. There's this guy named Andrew Wiggins, and he was, he was picked in the first round, whatever, and it just wasn't working out, and everybody was saying that he was trash. And then he ended up with the Warriors, and everybody's like, oh my God, Andrew Wiggins is a revelation, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, sometimes you have talent, you have stage presence, but you're in the wrong band. Like, you're in the wrong band. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be in some giant big band. You know what I'm saying? But Floor ended up in the perfect band for her set of skills. Like, it's just a completely perfect match.
Listen,
for her set of skills.
Look, I'm gonna go on the record and say what I think. I heard the other lady, Tarja or whatever.
Tarja?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, be careful.
I heard her, and she was great, but she doesn't compare to Floor. In my opinion, she doesn't. I think that Floor is just
like live. But what are you talking about? Because Tarja could sing.
Yeah, but
you're talking about stage presence.
The whole thing. She just the way that Floor is, who Floor is, and like
much love, Ian.
Sometimes
love you, buddy. Have a good one.
And don't ask me for an example because I can't think of who it was. But like, sometimes when you see, don't ask me. Ask me offline. So when you see like, okay, that person left the band and then this person took their place, like sometimes it just looks like it was a revolving door and they basically looked like the same person and they basically perform mostly the same. But to me, when like Floor, she's just, you don't even compare her because it seems to me that she made the band something else, that Nightwish is something else with her. And,
I agree.
Look, I'm a reaction. We're not gonna. We can't guarantee a positive review. At the same time, I'm not gonna lie to you and act like I don't know. I don't have an opinion on the matter.
We're not dissing Homegirl. It's just that Floor. It's a once in a generation situation. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is,
she's a once in a generation talent.
There's so many things on 10 for her that.
Yeah, it's no disrespect to anybody else, but anyway. We live in every moment but this one. Why don't we recognize the faces loving us so? What's God if not the spark that started life? The smile of a stranger, sweet music, starry skies, wonder, mystery, wherever my road goes. Early wake-ups in a moving home. That's interesting. Scent of fresh mowed grass in the morning sun. Open theme park gates waiting for. Riding the day every day into sunset, finding the way back home. This is just celebrating life and appreciating everything that we have together. And, he talks about his waking up in a moving home because, they're on tour all the time.
Scent of fresh mowed grass in the morning sun. I love that smell.
Yeah, it's to me, the song is just about appreciating life and looking at the next journey and all that. And
open theme park gates waiting for, riding the day every day into sunset. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's very, the magic of the moment, abracadabra. And it's really fascinating because the guy who wrote this,
and then
I'm
they
assuming
ended it with fireworks.
I'm assuming was Thomas, whatever the guy's name is. No disrespect to the homie, but I'm assuming he's the one that wrote these lyrics, and he left the band. So it makes me wonder, like, because it makes me wonder, like, you see somebody leave a band as prominent as Nightwish, and you're like, yo, how could you do that? Like, what are you gonna, like Brady was talking about this, where Brady was like, he retired, but then he unretired, and what they were saying was, you can never match the competition and the feeling of running out of the tunnel onto the field as an NFL player.
Yeah.
And, like, to give that up when you feel you still have something in it, because you can never replicate it. It's not like, Michael Jordan, like, he can join the YMCA and play basketball at the gym.
Pony said that Thomas didn't leave. Marco did.
Sorry.
Okay, so what about the gym?
So Brady was talking about, not leaving that competition.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're a bassist in one of the biggest bands in the world, and Flora doesn't look like she's slowing down anytime soon. Like,
no.
How could you leave that band?
Yeah.
How could you do that? Like, what are you gonna have that is gonna replicate that feeling that you get when you're on stage?
I'm actually surprised that you said that, because, like, there's probably things that you've done in your life where people that were with you at that time were like, how could you leave this? I mean, everything else is nothing compared to this.
Well, it was more, look at everything that you had to go through to get here type of thing.
Okay.
For you to leave it prematurely.
Yep. But it's...
I mean, the context... I think if I told everybody, they'd be like, well...
Different?
Well, I mean... You could die. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like... It's not like you're leaving something like Nightwish where, you're getting, feedback, this great adrenaline rush. I mean, yeah, it's an adrenaline rush, but you could die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I guess I'm looking at it as like there's other adventures, there's other things, and if you've tried this out long enough, and no offense, but it does seem that bassists are kind of like, it feels like the bassist. A lot of times when something goes on, I feel like it's the bassist. It's like, I'm out. Really? Yeah, wasn't it? Okay. See, I feel like, is this...
Well, yeah, Jason from Metallica.
What about Slipknot? Was it the bassist?
He died, but yeah.
Oh, he died. Okay, well, then that doesn't count. I mean...
Well, it kind of counts, but...
Well, no, okay, like when, like, the bassist doesn't seem like they're getting enough of the... Like, there was a band that the bassist...
That was Metallica. Jason left.
Yeah, I think there was another one, too, but I don't want to say them out loud, but, like, where the bassist was feeling like they should be getting a lot more attention or money, and...
Who? Just say it.
No. They had a...
Is it a... Yeah. So there's always
there.
Something.
You know
what
I'm saying? Like,
okay.
And so, like if you look at it, I guess like the drummer is like seems like a centerpiece, a singer, obviously, guitarist. But
what they're saying
see
is
how
the bassist is easiest to replace.
Kind of that they're easiest to replace, but that's not actually what I'm driving at. I'm just like that. The bassist maybe gets overlooked more than everybody else and is not celebrated as much.
Unless you're in a band like Mudvayne, like the dude from Mudvayne, Rick now, I think you can't replace that guy. That guy, he added such a signature sound to their band that you really that song Dig.
Okay.
Like they featured the bass throughout that entire song.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
okay.
The bass was really the guitars kind of were just background for that progression on the bass, and it worked. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I'm just saying that, like, if you're the bassist and you're like, it's not like, if you're like Floor in that situation where it's like, well, where are you going to leave it? What else are you going to do when you leave this? It's going to be better than what you're doing now. But maybe the bassist feels like, hey, like I'd like to try something new. Like, I've been running the bass here for a while and now I want to do something different. And like, I like the way that this song makes it seem like there's other things. Like it talks about the theme park. It talks about the magicians, the carnival, like Last Ride, jugglers, abracadabra, sunset, stuff like that. Like I think that like there's a version of me that is very like whimsical like this. And she said it at the beginning of her song, like even fairy tales come to an end because it was the end of that show.
Yeah.
But like I like the mindset that there are other things. Like, this is not everything. Whatever it is that you're doing is not everything. And there are new adventures and there are other things that you can do and find and that are exciting.
I guess. I can't imagine.
I mean, tour life has got to be difficult in its own ways.
Yeah, he said, "Dear people, I am leaving Nightwish in my public life." He announced that he had come to this decision in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic after being disillusioned with the music industry.
Wow.
For quite a few years, I haven't been able to feel validated by this life. We have streaming company big guns demanding 9-to-5 work from artists of inspiration while unfairly sharing the profits, even among the artists. We're the banana republic of the music industry. Biggest tour promoters squeeze percentages even from our own merchandise while paying dividends to the Middle East. Apparently, some theocracies can take money from the music that would get you beheaded or jailed there without appearing as hypocrites. Just a couple examples here. The past year forced me to stay home, and I think I found myself very disillusioned about these and a lot of things. I found out that I'm in need of that validation. For me to write, sing, and play, I need to find some new reasons and inspiration. My Walden, so to speak.
Wow.
Well, there it is. I mean, COVID again, like, I get it. At some point, even though it's hard for me to conceive, at some point, you got to have something else. Like, it always happens. It doesn't matter how big the dream is. Eventually, you're going to get tired of it. Just, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. Okay, what do you get the song? This is a 10 for me. The performance was just so good. The atmosphere was so good. Everything was so good. It's just...
I think I'm going to go with a 10 as well.
I'm in the moment of the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. Like, I felt like I was there.
It's a 10,
yeah. Yeah.
There you are, dear listener. We have more on the way. Stay tuned. Vin out.
Sorry out.
Gone. Commercial break. We shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at insori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is a community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Ready?
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear
All
listener.
right, the Core Alliance is up tonight, and we are doing The Cure, How Beautiful You Are.
The Cure
And-
for the Core.
Oh, this pick is from the amazing Carmen. Hi, Carmen.
Shout out to Carmen. The
Shout out to
Cure.
you.
How beautiful you are. Let's do it.
You want to
Wow. This is probably my favorite Cure song.
I am a little confused lyrically.
What do you mean?
Okay, so he's explaining to her what?
So he's with this girl.
Yeah. They're in Paris.
They're in Paris. And then he sees this dad. It looks like the dad is homeless or poor, and he's got a kid on his back and a kid in his hand. So it's
a grayish man who
held
a child upon his back, a small boy by the hand, and 3 of them were dressed in rags and thinner than the air, and all eyes stared at her. Okay. So when he sees the man and his 2 kids, he feels shame because they're not poor like them.
Yeah, it says it filled my heart with shame for us at the way that we are.
Yeah.
It says, beautiful, beautiful you are, the boy's eyes said. How beautiful she shimmers like a star. The child's eyes uttered nothing but a mute and utter joy. So they're in this situation. Life is happening great for them. And then he sees this father with the 2 kids. And then her response was, make them stop staring at me or something like that. See where she said that?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So I think like
because he looked at her and expected her to be feeling the same thing in the situation.
The empathy for the guy, yeah.
Right.
That's
but
what it looks like
instead,
to
she
me.
didn't want to be stared at. I hate these people staring at me. Make them go away from me.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, holy shit! I thought you were this good person, and now you see this homeless person, and you can't stop to see their humanity or the beauty in their recognizing your beauty. They're making you uncomfortable, so you want them to get out of your way so you can go back to living your nice little suburban life. So he's like judging her for that, but then he's also seeing that he kind of is the same way, so that's why he's ashamed of how they both are. That's what it looks like to me.
Oh wow, okay.
What was your thoughts on the song?
Well, I was confused because, you know, at the beginning when it's talking about them being in Paris and them wandering through the rain and like promising each other that they were going to see everything the same way, like that's how I used to think that people mostly should be, but now obviously you and I are very much the same and very much different, and I think that if 2 souls see everything exactly the same, I'm not sure how honest that is.
Right.
So I was kind of like, well, I think that they're hoping for some non-existent dream that they're going to see everything the same way. But then when it talked about the people coming up and looking at them, I actually didn't catch the part where it said, I saw a grayish man, but for some reason I put him in gray clothing. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see dressed in rags either. But I got a little distracted by the album cover because I thought that was a worm, but then I realized that it was actually lips. So it might have been at that point, so I didn't see that part of the song. And then it was talking about like them staring at her and saying how beautiful you are and stuff. And I remember like hitting a certain point in my life where I started feeling really uncomfortable when people were staring at me all the time.
Yeah.
And like there's like this one story, it still bothers me. So I was working and this girl came in and she must have been going through some form of chemotherapy, and she didn't have any hair or eyebrows or anything, and she was with her boyfriend, and they came up to the counter where I was working, and he was looking at me like he thought I was really beautiful, and I felt very uncomfortable because I felt really sad for her, because I thought she would feel like I would feel if I was her, and I would be jealous and I would be sad and I would be angry and all these different things. And then she didn't even respond like that at all. She looked at me and her eyes got really big, and then she looked at him and she said, wow, she's really beautiful. And she didn't look like she had any ill feelings toward me or anything. And I just was like I felt ashamed of myself that like here's this girl in this really horrible situation. She's clearly going through some, like, she already just, like, wasn't somebody that was, like, a very beautiful person to even begin with. And then on top of that, she was also sick. And so I was like, that was a pretty kind of crazy experience. And then, you know, when you spend, you know, I mean, I'm almost 40 years old now, so it's not like it was when I was 18, you know? When I was a teenager and in my 20s, like, I felt objectified all the time. And then, like, one conversation that we had years ago, like, you were helping me to see that not everybody's looking at, just because somebody's looking at you doesn't mean that they're looking at you for, like, objectification reasons or because they have some ill intent. It can just be like, I mean, if you are, you know, walking down the sidewalk and you see a very beautiful flower, you stop and you look at the flower because you think it's beautiful. So it can just be like that. So when that part happened in the song, I thought, you know, she's feeling uncomfortable and he doesn't know to tell her, like, it doesn't mean anything, you know what I mean, that they're staring, they just think that she's pretty and that's just it. But then he can't see that to know what to say to her, and then he feels ashamed, and I didn't understand why he felt ashamed. And that's, so I was going to ask you, like, where, I don't understand where the shame came from. But then at the end of the song, he basically says, and this is why I hate you, and how I understand that no one ever knows or loves another. And I was like, why is he saying that? Is he saying that because they can't, he's realizing that they don't see stuff the same, and because of that, like, I don't know, not everything's bad because one thing is bad.
I think when there's a really beautiful person, you tend to idealize them because you're so infatuated with them that you don't want it to just be a surface level, oh, I'm attracted to their beauty. You also want to be attracted to their personality, obviously, because we know that if you're only with somebody because they're physically beautiful, that's kind of shallow. So he's idealized this person. And then, as I would say, he got a glimpse of her sinful nature and he rejected her because she wasn't able to live up to this the ideal. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, they're in the lovey-dovey phase, yada, 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 and he's looking at these three guys, and it's very fascinating because as a guy, I think I can tell the difference between when a person is looking at you and just being struck by, you know, because you're saying, oh, it wasn't like when I was 18, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're living in a situation now where you're with me almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so there are very few times when you're out by yourself. It's not like, you know, you used to work true. Outside the home. You used to drive here and there. Like, we're together all the time. So, you know, it would still happen to you, in my view, at the same clip even more. Because you were not done developing at 18.
Yeah.
So, like, but and, you know, I walk, you know, with the mall, stuff like that. Like, and I've seen people, like, double take at you. It's just because they're, you know, it's, holy shit. You know, you don't see people like you all the time. But then there's that, you know, like you taking lustful type of thing. And I know that energy too. And what's happening is like these three, I don't want to say homeless, but they were down on their luck. And he saw their, and the other, one of the things that was really interesting to me, and I'm not sure I agree with this, but a couple years ago there was a fire at some historical Roman Catholic church. I forgot what it was. And it was like X millions of dollars in damages. And of course, all the Protestants and everybody was like, oh, yeah, that's a sign from God. You wasted all that money on, you know, this art in the medieval period and, you know, people are poor. Good for you. And Mark, you know, my half-famous Catholic friend, he said something that was really fascinating. He said, those buildings do belong to the poor. And actually, Jordan Peterson also made this point. He said those buildings do belong to the poor because it gives them the ability to see and appreciate beauty because it was accessible to everybody. Oh. And he's like, when you're poor and you're living hand to mouth, you switch to more of a survivalist mindset. Yeah. So being able to see and stop and appreciate beauty is something that middle class and upper middle class people have the privilege of. That's a privilege that you have that you don't even realize. You know, we can turn on, we've all got 4K TVs and all, so we're inundated with beautiful imagery. He's like, what if you were poor and that was the only outlet you had to
like
see
dirt
beauty?
Floors and,
so that was a really we talk about truth, beauty, and goodness, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was a very fascinating thought process. So and I remember, like, when we were homeless, the only thing I cared about was the weather. I didn't care about what the food tasted like. All I cared about was the weather, because it was precipitating New Jersey, and we were homeless, and it was cold. And when we get out of the shelter, because we had to leave the shelter by 9 or whatever it was, going to school, my mom would smoke, and she was afraid of secondhand smoke, so she'd always wind down the window in the dead of winter. So I just remember the only thing I cared about was the weather, and, you know, it's a form of survival. And so being able to be like, to have the joy of being able to stop and see something amazing and beautiful wasn't even in my mindset at the time.
Yeah.
So this guy's, they're sharing this moment of humanity, and he is getting it, but she's not getting it. And instead of allowing her, because that's the thing, like, I know you, so I know how the world has treated you as far as your beauty. Like, there's a lot of times when your beauty's been bastardized. And that's something that men don't understand. If you're with a really, really beautiful woman, the chances is that her beauty has been bastardized by generally men, but women can do it too. And so he's not looking at it from her perspective. He's not incarnating inside of her and saying, how have the men in her life treated her?
Right.
He's just looking at it like, oh my God, like,
how can you miss this moment?
How could you miss this moment of beautiful poetic humanity? Well, she has, and he says understanding is a dream, meaning she's not understanding what's happening in the moment. Like, she's not understanding what's happening in this intercourse right now. She's not getting it. But what he's not realizing is that he's not understanding her either.
Yeah.
And now he resents her because she was not able to live up to his ideal of what she should be.
It's crazy too, because she just wanted to get out of the situation. She says, I hate these people staring at me, make them go away. So she wants the people to leave. And, you know, he judges her for that, but then he doesn't like the way that she makes him feel about the situation, and then he hates her.
Right.
So it's crazy because
right.
he's actually the more extreme. Like, if you were to pull back, you're like, he's the more detestable person.
Right. Yeah,
because both of them are not understanding. But she just wants those people to go away. He wants to hate her now.
And that's why...
Or he chooses to hate her.
That's why, you know, when you commit yourself, the concept of unconditional love is such an important backstop. Because if you have that, then it creates a situation where you're incentivized to try to figure out what's going on. But if you make your love conditional, then as soon as you see a moment like that, you can always take an off ramp. You can say, "Oh, you're not the person I thought you were," and you can take this deceive yourself into thinking you're taking some sort of moral high ground.
Yeah, that's
when in
interesting.
reality, it's just you couldn't love the person enough, not even to look past their flaws. Because I'm not sure this is a flaw. If this girl's been objectified all her life like you, then I completely understand why she'd have that reaction. Maybe it's a little bit self-centered, but it would be understandable. Now, if it's the complete other thing and she's just being aristocratic and saying, get these commoners away from me, then obviously that's a personality flaw.
Right.
But do you love the person enough to absorb a personality flaw or 2 or 9? Like, what the hell do you think relationships are about?
Yeah.
The person's supposed to fit your ideal, and when they don't fit your ideal, they're gone? Like, and... You know, he said, I hate you, which I don't think he literally means it, but I think it's talking about, you know, the resentment that you feel when that shit happens. So I just think, you know, we talked to the boys about this, you know, like relationship-wise, like unconditionality is so important. It's so important because, you know, and obviously we're going to say this is another advantage of having the original sin doctrine, because I can say, even though I have an idealized view of this person, there's gonna be something
that
there
has to be
disappoints me, and I'm gonna determine beforehand to love her unconditionally. right? And then you have to trust that the other person is viewing you the same way, inshallah. So I think a lot of relationships like have a veneer of falsehood because of those two elements are missing, the unconditionality and the expectation of failure. Because those two things are missing, people start, I don't want to say play acting, but they start playing the role. Once I pick up on the idealized version of who you think I'm supposed to be, I'll play that role, even if it's not me. And I think there have been relationships that have been like that, and that's why I'm so crazy about explicit communication.
Yeah. Because
I want to try to get as much as the authentic you as possible, and vice versa. And I feel that if you don't have, and obviously, you know, people probably say I've swung too much on the other side, but if you don't have brutally honest communication, you run the risk of people playing roles based on the expectation of their partner instead of living an authentic life.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm after, is like an authentic moment of, this is who I am, warts and all, beauty and all. This is who I am. And will you still accept this? And the answer for me is yes. But that's a very dangerous thing to say, because most of us are not taught to love people unconditionally.
Yeah.
Most of us are taught that relationships are about you and how you feel. And so it's like, oh, I got to do what's best for me. Every other meme is do what's best for you. Do you, girl? Do you, queen? Do you, fellas? Blah, blah, blah. And people go into relationships to gain something from the person instead of going to give. And obviously there's a balance there. But I think the assumption should always be 60-40 on both sides. And the reason I say 60-40 is because there's a lot of times in relationships where things start going south and the person starts going, I'm doing more investing, and it's supposed to be 50-50. So if you start with a 50-50 understanding, you're always going to bias yourself and say you're giving more than the other person. So if you say, okay, our relationship should be 60-40, I should do the majority of the heavy lifting, that is a game that I play with myself to where I cut that off at the pass. So it's like, I'm putting in way more. It's like, well, yeah, we agreed to give 60-40 here. But if you say a relationship is supposed to be 50-50, then as soon as the person crosses the line, you're going to say that they're not putting out their 50, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, relationships are tough if you want to have a deep, long-lasting, significant one. If you want a flash in the pan and good feelings for a second and all the rest of it, then you can have that too. But they're not going to be long-lasting.
Then you run the risk of landing where the beginning of our Cradle of Filth disclosure between man and his soul, like the explanation that he gives of that type of relationships, and where it landed him, like So it's
right.
Interesting topic. The song was lyrically. As far as what it sounded like, I wasn't like a giant fan of the sound. But I still did enjoy it. But it wasn't like, let me put that on. Yeah, so that's a playlist song for you.
Yeah, I love this sound.
This is one that when you play it on your playlist, I won't be like, oh no.
Vocally, I just love that vocal style. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Or as Cassia said, 100. Right. So it's like, and it depends on which 100 you emphasize. Most of the times when we emphasize the 50-50 split or the 100-100 split, we're looking at the other person. We're not saying, am I giving 100, am I giving 60, am I giving 70? We're saying that person's not doing it. But yeah, I love this band. What do you get the song?
8.7.
9.6 for me. It was a very, 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 very good song. No, it wasn't too poppy for me. I loved it. I love the Cure sound. If I could, I would play music like that. But I don't have the patience to play music like the Cure. They leave a lot of empty space, and I'm terrible with empty space. Like on the thing I was on recording, on the updated record, I haven't said it to you yet, Amy. Like, I don't like leaving that empty space. I'm very undisciplined that way, but
I was gonna say, well, you'll have to grow in that discipline.
They're really, really, really good at it. All right, there you go.
All
right. We got one more song for you guys. One more. Check it out. Finn out.
Sori out.
Gone. All right.
Hit that commercial.
The big homie Jay should be here. And then we shall return. I'm Vin.
I'm sorry.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at sori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them, dear listener.
Buy our merch. Okay,
This is my favorite part. Sorry, this is the call stream. The call is one of the alliances. $1, dear listener. $1 gets you in an alliance. It's my favorite part of the thing. You get in a community. Every alliance and alliance leader has different ways as to how they choose songs, and then an entire stream gets devoted to that alliance, and it influences the song that we do. Obviously, this is.
So what? This is your favorite? What? What were you gonna say?
It's my favorite part of the Patreon thing.
Oh. Okay.
Like getting your own personal stream, I think is cool. Like I would like that too, but like being at a crew of people in a team, like
that's you. Yeah, that's.
What?
Okay. Well, no, it was just I was a little surprised because you were like, "This is my favorite," and this is typo negative, and you've never said typo negative was your favorite. Oh. Usually, I'm the one saying that.
No, I'm not. Typo negative is not one of my favorite bands.
Okay. You know, part of the reason why this is so interesting because it's not your favorite, but I like typo negative because part of the reason is because I like you.
Yeah, I know.
And you give me that vibe.
Yeah.
All right. September Sun is the name of this song.
So she says.
This one is, the pick is from some asshole in the group.
That would be Jay.
That would definitely be Jay. You guys, I have like these like little stretchy fun things to play with. And I saw one of my kids with one of these and they were running around putting it in their mouth. And I'm like, don't put that in your mouth. Well, I tried on the commercial. It's very fun to chew on. Yeah. It's fun to chew on. I was like, no wonder he was doing that. He's 3.
Such a weirdo. You're such a weirdo.
All right, typo negative, September Sun. Let's go.
All right, here we go for the big homie Jay.
There he is.
Who also plays in a band, I think. It's a pretty good band. Not what I was expecting.
Yeah, what year was this? Let's see.
Wow, I am not expecting this from Typo Negative at all.
September sun, blowing golden hair. Now keep in mind, son, she was never there. October's rust, bisecting black stone clouds. Only and shout.
Yet in the dark, still he screams your name. Nights living dead, with which rhyming saying 10 years of mass, foretold no be done. Lost many times was his name Peter.
September sun, rotted Flatbush porch. I would have run then, had I known the cost. What's on the race? Turn your eyes to stone. Did it give you pleasure to steal my soul?
Yet in the dark, still he screams your name. Nights living dead, with which rhyming saying 10 years of mass, foretold no be done. Lost many times was his name Peter.
Leave her alone. I said leave her alone. 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 Alone.
Wow. I mean, you can't.
I needed that chorus.
I'll tell you.
More times.
First of all, that Kenny guy, that dude can sing.
Yeah, he
damn
can.
it.
Yeah. Does he do any others?
Yeah. Why
bands?
did they use him more in the chorus?
I just thought
he was great.
That
Holy
chorus,
smokes!
Did it only come up twice?
They repeated that a million times though.
No, that's the thing. That ending, that should have been, how many times did we go on that? The ending was too long, too whatever. Like
it was about 28.
They should have gone.
They pulled what's that band? OTEP.
Stop. I just think that the chorus
Opeth.
We needed the chorus a couple more times. That would have been better to end on the chorus than that.
Opeth.
Yeah.
Opeth.
Yeah, don't disrespect OTEP.
Yeah. They did one of those things where it just
Yeah, I was like, what are we doing here when we had that amazing chorus. September Sun. Okay, first of all, I always think referring to months for events or things or whatever is very romantic. September Sun, October, whatever, blah blah blah, like that. Because he says September Sun and then he talks about October's Rust. I don't know why. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you put a month in there, it works.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know why, but it works. It was just a really strong start. September Sun, glowing golden hair.
Blowing golden hair, yeah.
I've got glowing.
Oh, and I have blowing. I assumed that like the wind was blowing in her hair, but it could have been glowing because we just talked about the sun. It was probably glowing. Glowing golden hair. Yeah. All right.
Well,
keep going.
That would be the rays of the sun, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
September Sun, glowing golden hair. Now, keep in mind, son, she was never there. October's Rust, bisecting black storm clouds. Only the deaf hear my silent shouts. That was probably the best stanza I've ever seen him write. I was waiting for the tongue-in-cheek, I'm going to cut your head off with a machete. Like the other stuff that we've heard from them.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much a ballad from start to finish, which really surprised me. Which also shows that the guy had a range. He had a really big range.
Yeah.
So
then when he hits the chorus, yet in the dark still he screams your name, Elizabeth. That part was just I love that type of there's some desperation there, there's some real longing, Yeah. But I see it was a sad situation for them.
I'm gonna write a book, fellas. I'm gonna write a book one of these days. Never you fear, fellas. Your brother's here. How to snag a beautiful girl and yeah.
What does it make her pine? Is that the word pine? Okay.
Night's living death, with which rhymes insane. So he's living a living death because Elizabeth broke up with him.
Yeah,
it's as if she was never there. Because he says, keep in mind, son, she was never there.
Then he says 10 years amassed, and then he says for
Para
all
toda
my
mi
life.
vida. Para toda mi vida.
You already
mi
knew what
vida.
that meant?
Well, it's Spanish.
I looked it up. I was like, oh, for all my life. I looked at you like, hey, I'm helping you with this. You looked at me like, yeah, so?
Well, in the Bronx.
Oh, yet again, Vin knows something.
No. It's just everybody's Spanish in the Bronx. Para toda mi vida. Remember, it's living la vida loca.
Yeah.
So the crazy life, vida.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I can see how you would know that. Lost Man in Time was his name, Peter. So, it's just...
He lost himself after the breakup, apparently.
Yeah, that's not healthy.
What do you mean it's not healthy? But you
I'm beating you to it because I know that's what you're about to say, and I agree with you.
You love all that unhealthy shit when it's the guy being unhealthy with the girl. The girl's being too obsessive about the guy, you don't like it.
Yeah, if this was a girl screaming out, I'd be like, get yourself together. Don't scream out his name like that for 10 years. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that
that
I had that level of, what do you call that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's misandry. You hate men.
No, yeah, no, you the double standard.
Oh
no.
Well,
Yet again. Yeah, because seriously though, if I flip it, I'm like, stop it. Don't yell at his name. Don't make a song about it.
yeah, I know.
That's so interesting.
Then he's fighting with himself. He's saying, "Leave her alone."
Yeah, but I mean, apparently he's not.
What do you mean?
But then why does it end with me, I know why? You know why what?
Well, I think he's going to leave that vague.
Yeah.
You know why what? You know why it didn't work out? You know why you broke up? You know why you're still obsessed with her? You know why what? And so he's leaving that like
Yeah, and there was like that foreign chanting.
open. And sometimes the reason for that is because the guy doesn't know why. Sometimes relationships end and the person doesn't know why it ended.
Yeah, and sometimes
there was no blow up, there was no nothing, it just ended.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that could happen.
And sometimes the other person doesn't give an explanation, so the person that's left is in this kind of purgatorial, why did this happen, yada yada yada. So he's saying I know why. I think is some way of like providing some closure for himself, because I don't think he knows why the actual person left him. Because there's no explanation. It doesn't say he did anything wrong. It doesn't say they drifted apart. It seems that their relationship was very fiery and then ended suddenly, which would also go along with the first stanza, September sun gold, and then saying she was never really there.
Right.
And then he's saying only the deaf hear my silent shouts. And that's because he cannot express to him, he cannot express with words, you know, how the ending of this relationship affected him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, anytime I think to myself, I'm like, would I want my kids to write a song like this? I don't think, like, you can protect your kids from pain, especially relational pain. So I don't think you can protect your kids against that. But I do think that there are mindsets and things like that you can give to people that will equip them to be able to handle these kinds of, I don't want to say disappointments, but these kinds of tragedies in a way that isn't completely destructive. Like, I don't think this is a destructive way to handle it. I mean, he's expressing it with art and music. I think that's healthy, but I think depending on how long it took for him to be able to ventilate this musically, it's not something I would want people that I care about to have to.
Right, because he says 10 years.
Yeah, so I don't know if he was with her. I don't know if he was with her for 10 years and then it ended, or if they broke up 10 years ago, but he still can't get over it.
Yeah, I thought it was they broke up 10 years ago. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, wow. Okay. But I got that chorus. I really like that chorus.
Why?
Well, I love it when you guys already know. I love the sound of like desperation expressed through song or dance, or even instruments. As long as I can. Well, sometimes somebody's expressing something through an instrument, and like for instance, Bach. Probably he's expressing something really big and important. It's just too painful for me, and so I hate the whole thing all over
because of the association.
Because the association. No, I don't think it's, and I don't associate it with anything necessary. Okay, I don't consciously associate Bach with anything.
Well, when you say the pain, what are you talking about? The pain?
I don't know. All I know is that when I hear it, it's uncomfortable. Like,
when you hear Bach?
Yeah, I hate it. It's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to me.
I thought that there was a specific context with which you heard Bach, and so you were associating it with that.
No, my mom would play it when we were growing up, and I didn't like it. It was so upsetting to me, and I told her, this is really, really, and you have to understand, like in my parents' household, people didn't really have like a lot of autonomy. So for me to go to her and tell her like, your music is this bad for me. It was really bad.
Yeah.
And so she saw that it was like really troublesome to me, so she stopped playing it. But I don't have a reason. I don't consciously know of any reason why I don't like it. I just know that when his stuff is playing, I have a massive aversion to it. And I don't think that it's because he's doing a bad job. I think that he's communicating something through his music that either I can't understand or I can't face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but you know, like when he does his vocal style in this chorus, like, well, that's relatable to me. I can feel that. It doesn't mean that I am in this situation where I'm screaming somebody's name in the night. But I feel that sort of desperation that he communicates through his vocal style. And I do find the pain or the feeling or something very relatable.
You're gonna have to do some work on that.
I know.
That Bach thing, that's gonna be interesting.
I know.
It's gonna be an interesting revelation.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit curious because you know, Amy sent another one that I'm gonna have to give a little listen to. That, no, Amy, I've heard more from Bach. Like I said, my mother used to play it, and I never liked any of what I heard. I know that you've sent me one that I'm gonna give another try to. I'm not sure if I'm mature enough in my, I don't know, emotions on that topic to be able to hear it for what it is. And I think that at some point, whenever I work out whatever it is that needs to be worked out, maybe Bach will be like my thing. You know what I mean? Like, right. I understand that there's a reason that I don't like Bach. That's not because he's a trash musician.
Yeah, but this chorus, I can't believe that Typo. I feel like Typo's already has a giant following or whatever, but I feel like doing more songs featuring this guy in the chorus would have really just, it would have turned them into a pop group to a degree. That guy's voice was just so good.
A little bit more.
His voice was just so good. Like I'm wondering, like, damn, bro, like, why did you guys do more of that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Look, Kenny Hickey? Seriously, his last name is Hickey?
I mean, he's in Typo Negative. What does his last name have to do with anything, you weirdo?
It was just funny because when I saw it over here, I saw Hinckley. But then when I typed it, like I copy and pasted it, it came up Kenny Hickey. I was like, wait, what?
Oh, okay, so he's in a bunch of their songs. It's just easy to mistake him with Peter because they sound a lot.
Yeah.
But I did like.
I didn't notice it till you started. The key that
he hit, I'm like, yo, that doesn't sound like Peter.
Yeah, that's what made me look back and realize that it wasn't him.
But this is actually, I'm not a fan of Typo Negative. That's Soraya's band. That's one of the reasons I'm not a fan of Typo Negative. But this is this is unhand me. This is my favorite. This is my favorite Typo song.
Okay.
God, you're so pretty. Holy shit.
Well, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna give this one like a. I really didn't like the ending. It really felt like it was dragging on. I felt like I was like, and I was frustrated that they didn't repeat the chorus instead. I was like, what a bad musical decision. So I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with a 9.7. It probably would have been a 10 if they would have done. It would have been a 10 if they had done the chorus a couple more times and skipped out on some of that.
You know what? I had it as a 9.7, and I'm not gonna. It's a 9.4, dear listener.
Okay, good.
It's a 9.4.
I really didn't want you to like beat me on this the score. Like, I feel like that's sinful for you to give Typo a higher score than me.
I will never, ever give Typo Negative an equal or even higher score than you.
Oh my god, I just pinned that instead of reported it.
As if you... That's what good, Sori. That's great.
And I don't even know how to get it now.
Cheap dates. Here we go.
Oh my god.
All right, shout out to Ben Webb. All right, you beautiful people. Much love seeing all of you guys. There's Typo Negative. There's Jay. I am going to record some more guitar. Much love to all you beautiful people. And then after that, we're going to take our walk, inshallah. Having said that, love your neighbor.